Hello, welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Good to have you with us. Coming up, the ball's in their court. The Constitutional Court of Zimbabwe has 14 days to hand down its ruling after the country's opposition leader filed a challenge against the election win of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. In a France 24 exclusive, we take a closer look at a story sparking fury in Cameroon. Accusations that a public hospital in the capital held mothers and their newborn babies hostage for not paying off their whopping hospital bills. And tiger mosquitoes are swarming Algeria's coastal areas. The insects, which can carry diseases such as Zika and dengue fever, are the target of a new eradication plan. First up, Zimbabwe's opposition leader has thrown down the gauntlet. Lawyers for Nelson Chamisa and his MDC alliance have filed a court challenge disputing the election win of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Chamisa says last week's vote was rigged and claims he has evidence to prove he was cheated out of a victory. The country's constitutional court now has 14 days to make a ruling. Now, for what could happen next, earlier I spoke to our regional correspondent Aisha Ismail. She takes us through the possible scenarios.
The opposition parties, Nelson Chamisa, went to court with a group of lawyers and filed their application, filed their papers. And what they're asking the Constitutional Court to do is to, one, declare the results by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission unlawful and therefore null and void. They're also asking the Constitutional Court to declare Nelson Chamisa the president of Zimbabwe. Failing that, there's an alternative. They're asking the Constitutional Court to have another presidential election. And should the court decide to do that, that election must take place within 60 days. But of course, the court can dismiss this application and then allow Emmerson Mnangagwa to be inaugurated.
So just quickly, Aisha, what does this all mean then for Sunday's planned inauguration for President Mnangagwa?
Well, the Minister of Justice has already said earlier today that following this court challenge, the inauguration will be postponed. Now, of course, the foreign guests have all been invited, and they obviously have to now be informed that this inauguration will not take place on Sunday as a result of this court application by the opposition party and by the opposition party leader, Nelson Chamisa.
France 24's Aisha Ismail reporting from Cape Town. Campaigning has wrapped up in Mali, where a presidential runoff vote is taking place on Sunday. The second round will see the incumbent, President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, take on opposition rival Soumaïla Cissé. The face-off is a rerun of the 2013 election. Cissé last week called on losing candidates to form a broad opposition coalition in a bid to help him defeat the Malian leader, but that solution appears to be off the table, with opposition candidates refusing to back either of the frontrunners. Now, Sudan's ruling National Congress Party has nominated longtime leader Omar al-Bashir for re-election in 2020. That's according to state media. But the country's constitution only allows presidents to serve 2 5-year terms. The 74-year-old took power in a 1989 military coup that ousted a democratically elected government, but has only faced contested elections since the new constitution came into effect in 2010. Bashir has previously said he would step down once his second term comes to an end. Next, new mothers and their babies confined to a dirty hospital ward like prisoners. That was allegedly the case for several Cameroonian mothers and their newborns in the capital, Yaoundé. They were held there for up to 3 months for not paying their hospital bills, amounting to hundreds of thousands of CFA francs. But freedom came in the form of a generous benefactor who coughed up the money after seeing a viral post on social media. Meanwhile, the scandal has shone a spotlight on Cameroon's treatment of patients in public hospitals. One woman spoke to our correspondents about her experience in this exclusive report.
The piercing cry of a premature baby. A baby who constantly relies on his mother's warmth to survive since they left the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The woman says the hospital held her for 15 days against her will because she did not have the money to pay for a cesarean section. She is amongst 9 victims with similar stories, but is the only one brave enough to speak out, recounting the sordid tale of their detention at a public hospital. For her safety and that of her family, we won't reveal her identity.
There is this ward, number 35, which is nicknamed Kosovo. It's a detention center for women who are unable to pay their hospital bills. There are only 3 beds in this ward. Those who don't have beds have to sleep on mats under these beds. The room had no lights and no toilet. Some of the detained women were constantly in tears. Some of them had been there for 3 months. I also cried when I heard them complaining. They consoled me.
These are images of the infamous ward number 835 taken Friday at the Yaoundé Central Hospital. The ward has just been swept and mopped. Thanks to social media, the women's cries for help were heard after the scandalous affair went viral. A generous benefactor came across the case and was stunned by the shocking treatments given to the young mothers.
We're not saying people should get free medical attention, but we live in extreme poverty. The minimum wage is just 36,000 CFA francs, and women are asked to pay up to 300,000 francs for a cesarean. This is unacceptable.
The man at the center of the accusations, the director of the hospital, denies the ladies were forcefully held.
The Central Hospital is not a detention centre. I can assure you we're always discharging women. Since the start of this year, the Central Hospital has lost over 7 million CFA francs because of women who cannot pay their bills.
The young mother was only allowed to go home after her debt was settled by a Good Samaritan. Emphasizing the high cost of health care in a country where 8 million Cameroonians are living under the poverty line, getting by on less than 900 francs CFA a day.
To Nigeria now, where Boko Haram militants killed at least 17 soldiers at an army base in the country's restive northeast. On Thursday, military sources said armed gunmen stormed the base in Gadunda village in Borno State, making away with weapons and vehicles. Wednesday's bloodshed is the 3rd attack on a Nigerian military base in less than a month. Now, severe floods in Niger have claimed the lives of at least 22 people and left thousands of others homeless after carving a devastating trail of destruction. Local authorities say torrential rains and floodwaters have destroyed more than 3,000 homes, wiped out 4,000 hectares of crops and affected drinking water supplies. The southern regions of Maradi and Difa are among the worst hit. The government and aid groups have scrambled to provide food, clothing and mosquito nets to those in need. And finally, Algerian authorities are sounding the alarm over the growing number of tiger mosquitoes in the country. The insect, which can carry diseases such as Zika and dengue fever and chikungunya, is now widespread in several coastal regions. The country is scrambling to eradicate the threat, as Clément Bonneau explains.
Block by block and house by house, teams from Algiers Department of Health and Safety are waging a fierce battle against an elusive enemy. The number of tiger mosquitoes in Algeria's capital has soared in recent weeks, leaving many residents completely overwhelmed. Authorities are doing what they can to keep the situation under control.
Our teams are on the ground to eradicate the threat. We have deployed 63 teams across the country.
Tiger mosquitoes have been present in Algeria since 2010. They've now spread to several regions along the coast. Like other mosquitoes, they reproduce quickly and easily, using flower pots and plants as breeding grounds. Authorities say their presence is a major health risk. Tiger mosquitoes carry deadly diseases such as Zika, dengue and chikungunya.
The mosquito can be found in areas where there are a lot of detached houses. It hides in plants and feeds on human blood.
To prevent risks, authorities have urged residents to remove any pots or containers that could collect rainwater and to spray insecticide on bushes and shrubs around their homes.
That's it for this edition of Eye on Africa. Stay with us here on France 24. Lots more news coming up.
En France 24 nos esforzamos por brindar la mejor información hecha por periodistas de Latinoamérica y del resto del mundo.
France 24, c'est l'info mondiale, partout, toujours à portée de clic.
We look at how technology is shaping the future, and we show you the latest gadgets you can soon get your hands on.
نقدم لكم الاقتصاد بطريقة مختلفة، نبسط المفاهيم والمصطلحات كي تكتمل الصورة لديكم.
Aquí puedo hablar de medio ambiente, no solo de los problemas que afectan a nuestro planeta, sino también de iniciativas y soluciones que a veces no tienen espacio en televisión.
La différence sur France 24, c'est l'idée du reportage. Nos grands reportages, vous ne les verrez nulle part ailleurs.